Sarah Jo is recording her half-sister, Trina, for social media. Then they decide to have breakfast with her mom. Both her sister and mom, Marilyn, are very alike in the sense they seem chill smoking weed, while Sarah prefers to have yogurt for breakfast. Sarah leaves their home and puts a pre-eviction notice on someone's door so they know they need to pay as soon as possible. However, the man living in the house doesn't appreciate the gesture and breaks the note right in front of her. Now Sarah is having online therapy alongside 2 other people. She seems very positive until a man named Henry mentions he finds it weird that some parents hired him and left him alone in the house with an 18-year-old because not even the younger sibling is there. At the mention of this, Sarah Jo touches the scar she has on her lower abdomen. She later goes to someone's house to babysit their kid with disabilities. The mom leaves, but the dad, Josh, stays. Sarah was coloring some drawings until the dad turned up the music and they all started dancing. Back at home, Sarah's mom is recounting the story of how her daughters came to be. For Trina, she's said to have met a successful lawyer named Bruce. On the contrary, for Sarah Jo the story is not so glamorous. Her mother had a fling with her personal trainer, Roy, and she didn't even notice she was pregnant until she was due. After giving birth, they tried to be together, but it didn't work. It's late at night and the 3 of them are having a ladies' talk. Their mother tells them that the truth is, men love a problem. Meaning they like women with backstories. This seems to resonate in Sarah's mind because the next day at her job, she straight up asks Josh if he finds her beautiful. She then proceeds to show him her scars, hoping this doesn't put him off. Josh is trying to make the situation less awkward. She confesses to him that she's 26 and virgin and likes him a lot. But he says he's older and promises she wouldn't like to lose her virginity to him because he considers himself a loser. She doesn't care about any of this and starts to explain the reason behind her scar. She says she had a radical hysterectomy surgery 15 years ago. So it's not likely for her to carry a successful pregnancy. Josh finally gives in and admits she's beautiful. Then asks for permission to kiss her, which after a few minutes turns into touching her. But Sarah now wants to do the main thing. Afterwards, Josh explains that Heather, his wife, and him don't do that anymore. Next day, Sarah Jo is seen happy tidying up the room while she looks through the glass how Josh is jump roping and talking to his friend. She notices how Josh's friend is being playful with Heather. After he leaves, Sarah believes it is a good idea to go up to where Heather is and take care of the meal she was prepping. However, Heather prefers to do it herself because this makes her feel more like a competent mother to make up for working a lot. Later that day, Sarah Jo is still there. She walks upstairs where Josh is having a conversation through the phone. Josh thinks this is the perfect time to talk because he doesn't think that what happened between them can't happen again. Sarah, far from not keeping up with it, pulls her skirt up and seduces him. Now at home, Sarah Jo finds her sister Trina crying in the bathroom because she's pregnant. But who she believes it's the dad won't recognize it's his since she was with other men as well. Sarah just tries to comfort her by saying she'll find someone who will be really good to her. The interactions are not exclusively started by Sarah Jo anymore. Josh feels more comfortable to start it to the point that he plans a romantic getaway by renting a property for the day. After they get intimate, Josh proposes to get high on mushrooms. Sarah Jo is all about having new experiences, so she agrees. The mushrooms do its thing and soon enough they're high just being silly with each other. The sun comes out, he puts a necklace on her. Josh says he is thinking of leaving his wife for Sarah Jo. Trina is getting her pictures taken by her friend Jace. This is a celebration to show that the kid was wanted even though she had to abort it. At Josh's and Heather's residence, Sarah Jo is playing with their kid Zach. Heather falls to the ground and gets into labor. Sarah Jo runs to help her and calls Josh to come right away. But Heather notices the necklace Josh gave to Sarah earlier. This seems to have belonged to Heather because she gets suspicious. Even though Sarah Jo tried to lie about having got it at the county fair with her sister. When Josh arrives, Heather refuses to go with Josh in the car and instead demands to have an ambulance come pick her up. Heather is fuming right now and asks him what did he do. Josh replies that he was really scared and cries. Heather brings up all the other times that he has cheated. But Josh tries to reassure her that Sarah Jo doesn't mean anything to him anymore and ends up asking her to not come back. Another man comes to her room as per usual. This guy's name is Arvin. He seems to be different from the other guys Sarah Jo has with. This one for a chance compliments her and offers her a spiltzer. He wants to have context before doing anything, but Sarah Jo, she just wants to get to it. He tells her that he works in the industry. Sarah Jo is immediately interested in this because of course she wants him to deliver a letter to Vance Leroy, her favorite star. Arvin accepts to give him the letter and leaves without doing anything. Sarah Jo is at a bar. She's wearing a face mask, but the bartender tells her she's too pretty to have it on, so she takes it off. Then he gets her starter with a drink. Sarah Jo recognizes a man named Yuli. He doesn't know her, but they start talking. She tries to kiss him, but he backs off thinking she's a little weird. Yuli asks her if she wants to have with him. She agrees. Since the place is his, he tells the bartender to go. Then they go to the back and make out, and while doing so he ripped part of her dress so the interaction didn't continue. Sarah Jo is having breakfast with her sister and mother. Trina asks her to stop scratching. Sarah Jo hides behind a car to eavesdrop on what Heather, Josh and their kids are doing. She surprises them and tells Josh all the activities she's done in the past month. The parents that seemed happy a few minutes ago are shouting to each other now. Sarah Jo runs from the scene. Now at home, Trina knocks on Sarah Jo's room. She takes the posters away from the wall. Trina shows her the new dress she got for free and asks her sister to take pictures of her. Then Trina asks her about Arvin, but Sarah Jo says he was just a guy from her class. Trina also mentions something that changes Sarah Jo's perspective on men, which is that there's always another one. Arvin gives a pen drive. Sarah Jo connects it to her laptop. Arvin recorded Vance Leroy's thoughts about Sarah Jo's letter. He reassures her that her breakup didn't happen because she didn't know how to, and his advice is not to force things up. If she's not feeling it, there's nothing wrong with that. Also tells her to be proud of her scars. What he said made Sarah Jo very emotional, and had a positive change on her. Sarah Jo then accepted the job as a caregiver for the girl in Pasadena. Sarah Jo looks happier than ever. And her mother thinks the girl is very similar to her in so many aspects, because even though Sarah Jo had to go through some surgeries as a kid, this didn't prevent her from the things she wanted to do. Arvin visits her again. Sarah Jo is grateful for what he did for her. They kiss and, however, after a while everything changes. Sarah Jo has finally experienced in a different, more loving way.